Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be talking to you about how you can cope with waiting for university offers. This time of year can be really stressful for people that have applied to university and are waiting to hear back on whether they've got a place or not. I think especially if you've not heard back from anywhere yet, or you've maybe heard back from a couple places but you've not heard back from the one uni that you really want to get into, it can be a really frustrating wait, and sometimes it's a really long wait, and that gets harder and harder as time goes on. So I completely sympathise. I'm also currently waiting for uni offers, so I completely understand how it feels, and I just wanted to talk you through today how you can kind of make that a little bit easier for yourselves. Okay, so before I properly get into the video, I just wanted to provide you guys with a little bit of context about my own personal situation. So I am currently on a gap year. I'm reapplied to uni this year, and I actually did apply last year, but for a lot of different reasons I ended up withdrawing my offers and deciding to reapply again and take a gap year. And I'm going to make a separate video explaining why I did that and where I've applied to, what unis I've applied for, what course I've gone for, all that kind of thing. So I don't really want to talk too much about that today, but just for a little bit of a brief explanation, I have reapplied this year. I sent my Ucas off I think around the 2nd or 3rd of December, and I've currently got 3 offers and I'm waiting on my 2 other choices, and one of the choices I'm waiting on is my first choice uni that I really want to get an offer from. So that has been a very stressful wait, and I think I will still be waiting a while yet. And the other one I'm waiting for is probably my joint second choice, so I'm also obviously keen to hear back from them and see what their response is. So that is where I'm currently at with my own situation, but I think having been able to apply a second time now, it's given me a lot of perspective on how to kind of deal with it a little bit better, because last year I was just obsessively waiting for uni offers. I was really stressed, and I actually ended up having to wait 5 months for my final offer, and at that point in time that final offer was my first choice uni, and I really just did not cope well with waiting that long. And this year I feel a lot more settled in myself. I feel a lot less stressed. Obviously I'm keen to get into the unis I haven't heard back from, but I feel a lot better about it, and I just wanted to share some tips with you guys about how you can maybe make it a little bit easier for yourselves. Okay, so the first thing that I would say to anyone that's in this situation currently is that you are 100% not alone in feeling like this. There are so many people going through the same thing right now and that are feeling really stressed and finding it a little bit difficult, and I think the best thing to do is to talk to other people about it. Get out how you feel, discuss these things, because the likelihood is you're going to find someone pretty quickly that's feeling exactly the same way that you are, and it can really help to talk things through with someone that's in the same situation and that completely understands your feelings. If you've got friends around you that have also applied to uni this year, this can be a really good way to just de-stress and just sharing the experience together, and it just lightens the load a bit talking it through with other people. Another thing I would say is talk it through with your family, talk it through with your teachers. I know it's kind of difficult right now because school is online, it makes it a bit harder, but just make use of the people around you, make use of your support bubble. Obviously they want what's best for you, and I think just talking it through with as many people as possible does just make it lighter. It makes it a bit easier to kind of assess in yourself how you feel about things, maybe what your first choice is. If you're undecided about things, sometimes talking through that uncertainty is really helpful. The second thing that I would say, and this is a lot easier said than done, but it is to just feel a bit more confident about yourselves. Don't do yourselves down too much, and this is something I was definitely guilty of last year. I had spent so long on my Ucas application. I got it to a point where I was finally really happy with it, and I sent it off obviously, and I was just doubting myself all the time. I was like, I'm never going to get a place, there's so many people applying that are so much better than me, like I'm gonna get rejected, this is not going to happen. And it's just a spiral. You get into a negative spiral of just thinking the absolute worst all the time, and you don't know what's going to happen until it happens. That is the reality. You have no control over whether a uni makes you an offer, or unfortunately if it rejects you. That's completely out of your control once you've sent off your application, and there is no point doing yourself down about it. And I completely get that that is a lot easier said than done. I know that myself. But it is really important if you can find a few little ways to just make yourself feel a bit more positive about it. Just when you notice yourself thinking a negative thought, recognize it and understand why you're feeling that, but then try and restructure it in a way that's more positive and say, actually, I don't know that for certain. I've worked really hard on my application and I'm really happy with it when I sent it off. I've given myself the best possible chance, and I'm just going to wait and see what happens. I do appreciate that that can be really hard to do when it is just in your head all the time, but I think that really ties in with the thing about talking to people about it, not being too negative and not bottling it all up. I think they are the 2 most important things, because they just become a vicious cycle within each other. They just, one feeds off of the other, and it just keeps getting more and more stressful, and you can't then get out of that little stress bubble, and that makes it really, really hard. Another thing I would say, and this is kind of something that could be a positive thing, could be negative, is that somewhere that so many students talk about what they're going through is the student room, and I'm sure everyone's heard of that website. And I think this can be really, really helpful in some ways, and it can also be really, really destructive in other ways, and it kind of depends on your reason for going on there and your mindset about where you're at currently. And I think it can be really helpful in the sense that there are so many people on there that are applying for the same unis, the same courses as you. You can find people that are really similar and that are feeling the same things, and it's a really good way to just talk online to people about your experiences and to be able to just share in that experience together. And that is a really, really positive thing, and I genuinely believe that. But the downside of the student room is that I think sometimes it feeds into that negative spiral, because you start reading people that are predicted absolute like straight A stars. They seem to have this really amazing personal statement, they've got really good GCSEs, and they're really confident in themselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's good to be confident, obviously, and they have every reason to be, but sometimes if you're feeling a bit insecure about your own application, reading a lot of things like that doesn't really help, and it kind of feeds more into that insecurity and makes you feel a bit more like, I'm definitely not going to get a place because there's so many other people with such amazing grades. And I think that's where it becomes negative, that's where it can kind of become a bit toxic. And if that is something that you think will affect you, and you think, actually, me going on the student room isn't really being productive for me, it's just making me feel more stressed, then ignore it. It is nice to be able to hear when other people on your course are getting offers, because you have an idea of when the department is starting to give out offers and rejections, but at the same time it is just feeding that anxiety, and it's not going to make your offer or rejection come any faster. And if it is doing your mental health down, then I think it's definitely a place to avoid. But on the flip side, as I said a minute ago, if it's something that really helps you and it's a really good way for you to talk to people, if maybe you don't want to talk to people in real life, I think it can be a really positive thing as well. So the student room I would recommend and not recommend, depending on your mindset and the kind of approach that you've taken towards your Ucas application. So you know which one of those two applies to you, and definitely if you think it's a good thing, I would definitely go check it out if you haven't already. Otherwise, I think it's definitely something to steer clear of for the moment. Another thing I wanted to briefly mention, and this is something I actually see being talked about a lot on the student room, is people calling up admissions departments or emailing them and asking when they're going to start giving out offers, when are they going to hear back, when are they most likely to hear back from the unis. And I completely understand the stress and the frustration and wanting to know when you're going to hear back, because uncertainty is uncomfortable. No one likes uncertainty. But the thing is, these unis are so busy, they have so many applications to get through, and they're not going to tell you exactly when they're going to start sending out offers, exactly when your offer's going to come through, because the reality is they don't know that. And all they can do at the moment is work through the applications and treat them in the fairest way possible to ensure that they make the offers to the right people. And you calling them or emailing them isn't going to speed that process up. It isn't going to tell you anything that you can't already find on their website. And essentially, it just gets a bit tiresome for you personally, because you're calling up wanting answers and you're coming away with no more answers than you had 2 minutes ago, and that gets frustrating as well. And I just don't think it's a productive way to be spending your time. I completely understand why people want to do it, but I think there are better ways to be spending your time than trying to get information out of uni departments that you know they're never going to give out. And the final thing I just wanted to talk to you guys about is creating some distractions for yourself. So you want to have a specific thing that you know that you enjoy doing and that relaxes you, that when you feel yourself getting a bit stressed, getting a bit worked up, you have that thing to fall back on. And if you feel yourself thinking a lot of negative thoughts, getting a bit anxious, you can say, okay, I'm going to go and do XYZ now, and hopefully that will calm you down a little bit. It will get you out of that little rut of suddenly falling into a trap of feeling really, really stressed. So for me, I find colouring books really, really helpful if I'm feeling a bit anxious, or if I literally just want to have a bit of a chill session, I just want to relax a little bit. I find that a really nice thing to do with a bit of music on in the background. So if you have something like that, it can literally be anything. Then definitely when you feel yourself getting a little bit worked up, I would suggest going and doing something that you know will distract you and calm you down. Similarly, if you're in year 13, maybe this is less enjoyable, but try and throw yourself into your work and your online school day. I know it's kind of hard, but obviously that is something you still have to do every day, and you can use it as a really good distraction to get away from thinking about university. Okay, and finally, the best distraction you have at your disposal is probably your family and your friends and the people around you. And I know I talked at the start about the importance of talking these things through with them, and I do think that is really important, but at the same time, you don't want to make it the only thing that you talk about, because if you do that, it just becomes a negative cycle, because you think everyone is only focused on your uni offers, and that leads you to feeling like maybe you're letting people down if you don't get in, or just obsessing about it even more, because in your own personal life that seems to be the only focus right now, and you don't want it to be the only focus. You want it to just be one little part of your life that is important and it is a big deal, but you don't want it to completely consume you. So use your family and friends to talk about other things, chat about your day in general, have a FaceTime session with some of your friends, maybe have a Zoom quiz, something enjoyable, something that's going to distract you all from waiting for uni offers. Again, with your family, you could have a family games night or watch a nice film together, literally anything that's just going to take you away from that anxious frame of mind and from thinking about uni and offers and revision and all that kind of thing. Just find things that you can do with the people that you love that is going to distract you. Before I end this video, the final thing I just wanted to briefly touch on is that your grades and your uni decisions absolutely do not define you. They are not the be all and end all. I know it feels really, really important right now, and it is important. It is a big part of your life, but it is not everything. You are your own person beyond uni, beyond grades, and that is so much more important. It's so much more important to look after your well-being and to make sure that you're doing okay, and uni offers will always come second to that every single time. But as I said at the beginning, you are completely not alone. There are so many people feeling exactly the same, and don't let the weight get you down too much. I know it's easier said than done, but as I say, this does not define your worth. It is just one aspect of life that obviously is important, but it is not everything, and the best thing you can do is to remember that and to look after yourself and make sure that you're not putting too much pressure on yourself and putting too much weighting purely on your uni offers. Okay, so that brings me to the end of the video. If you enjoyed today's video, then please give it a massive thumbs up and let me know in the comments if you're waiting for university offers or if you've received university offers. I'd love to hear where you're hoping to go to, what you're planning on doing, and just it's really nice to hear from other people going through the same situation. If you want to see more content like this, talking about applying to university, gap years and sixth form, then don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time with a brand new video. Bye!